In this demo, we will take a look at Bitlocker hard drive encryption. Okay, what we're going to do first is come into Control Panel. Okay, and it's normally in the category View. I went ahead and switched over to the icon view so we could see Bitlocker drive encryption icon all by itself here. Now, if we come into Bitlocker drive encryption in Control Panel, we're going to see the options for operating system drive, okay, showing our C drive where Windows is physically installed. Fixed data drives, okay, so with this, any type of data drive that you would have, okay, so any other partition other than your C drive. And then Bitlocker to go for removable media. Okay, so we're going to come up here to where we see Bitlocker on the C drive is turned off, and I'm going to select turn on Bitlocker. Now it's going to fail immediately because it did not detect a TPM, a trusted platform module. Okay, so we know that it wants the TPM to make Bitlocker look seamless to the end user. Okay, but if we do not have a TPM, that's where we can go into group policy and make it work without it. Okay, and it's actually even telling us that in the message here. Okay, so we're going to cancel this, and we are going to bring up the local group policy object editor. Okay, so we're going to type in gpedit.msc. Now I can also do this on a domain-based group policy object, and it would of course affect more than one computer. Okay, so depending on how you would want to do this. So this demo is going to be for a single computer. Okay, so we're going to come under the computer configuration, administrative templates, Windows components. Now it'll be in alphabetical order, so under the Windows components, we're going to see Bitlocker drive encryption, fixed data drives, operating system drives, and removable data drives. So policy settings for each. If we take a look here, that would allow us to manage and control Bitlocker. Okay. Now, of course, our goal is to make it work without a TPM, so we're going to come in here and basically enable one setting. Okay, so under operating system drives, okay, under settings here, I'm going to come to the third policy setting, require additional authentication at startup. Now when I double click this, keep in mind that it gives you a synopsis over here under help of what this policy setting is for. Now from there we have to enable it, and then that is it. Okay, so if we take a look at the default, it is selected. Allow Bitlocker without a compatible TPM, requires a password or a startup key on a USB flash drive. Okay, now I would typically prefer the startup key on a flash drive. Okay, but with the virtual machines, it's going to be a little bit easier to demo with a password. Okay, so that's how I'm going to demo Bitlocker with a password in this demonstration. Okay, so now that we have the policy setting configured, I'm going to do a GP update to force the policy to kick in immediately instead of waiting up to an hour and a half. Okay, now I'm going to come to Bitlocker Drive Encryption and Control Panel. I'm going to select Turn on Bitlocker. You'll see this time it does not fail, okay, because we're allowing it to work without the TPM. So now it's asking me to insert a USB flash drive where it would store the encryption key or enter a password. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and enter a password. Okay, now it's asking me how do I want to manage my backup recovery key. Now I could save it to my cloud account, back it up to a USB flash drive, save it to a file, or print the recovery key. Now I'm going to print it. And then of course we would want to store this somewhere safe in case we ever have to use the 48 digits to recover the Bitlocker encryption. Okay, now I'm just going to save it to a PDF file here. Okay, now when we go next, you'll see encrypt use disk space only, faster and best for new PCs and drives. Okay, brand new PCs they mean there. Okay, or encrypt entire drive slower, but best for PCs and drives already in use. Okay, so we're going to select that and go next. Now at this point it's asking us, do we want to choose an encryption mode? Now what they've done is they've enhanced some of the actual encryption. Okay, and we're using AES, Advanced Encryption Standards here. Okay, but it may not be compatible with older versions of Windows, so that's something you would have to, take into account during your planning process. Now I'm going to go ahead and do compatible mode. Okay, and then from there, it's going to basically check our system to make sure it is compatible and ready for BitLocker. Okay, so we'll continue. Now at this point, it's telling us BitLocker drive encryption. The computer must be restarted. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reboot now. And at this point, it would want me to type in the password to unlock the C drive to boot up Windows. Okay, so we see BitLocker here. Enter the password to unlock the drive. Okay, but also if we take a look at the bottom, you'll see press enter to continue, press escape for BitLocker recovery. So if we do lose our key or forget the password, that's where the 48-digit recovery password would come in. Okay, but I'm going to go and just type in my password here. Okay, and you'll see it starts to load the Windows operating system at this point. Okay, and now we'll log on. Okay, and then the BitLocker encryption should already start to encrypt the drive. And even though it's encrypting, you can still restart the computer, just continue your normal operations, and it will pause the encryption, pick it back up. So, don't feel like you have to wait for the entire volume to encrypt. Okay, so now when we log on, it looks like normal. Okay, but I do want to come to my notification area and show you that BitLocker drive encryption is encrypting right now. Now keep in mind these volumes really do not have a tremendous amount of data on them. So the more data, the longer it will take to encrypt the actual volume. And of course, while this is happening, we could also select Manage BitLocker. Okay, and it would take us right back into Control Panel. Now you'll see BitLocker encrypting, so it does show the progress. And at this point, we could back up our recovery key again, change the password, turn off BitLocker if we want to, just depending on what we want to do there. Okay, but that is BitLocker drive encryption. Okay, and we'll let it continue encrypting here.